10 random magic cards rated, day number 27, everybody. How was your weekend? I hope it rounded out well. It's been days and they're still working on my roof. Crazy, right? Let's move into our first card of the day. It's Dark Temper. 3 mana, 2 and a red for an instant that deals 2 damage to a creature. If you control a black permanent, destroy the creature instead. That's kind of neat. You have to pay 3 mana for destroy target creature, though, and work extra hard for it. But it is cool that it's just any black permanent. It doesn't have to be a creature. You know, you can have like a black enchantment or something. You still get to destroy something. That's not terrible. That's really not terrible. But it's also not great. I'm just going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a straight up 5. Sounds pretty generous, but, you know, 3 mana instant speed, destroy target creature is okay. It's at least average. Can we agree that's at least average? Can we? Am I stuck in the past? Kadamus Reach is up next. 3 mana, 2 and a green for an arcane sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal them. Put them one onto the battlefield. Tap the other into your hand. Shuffle it up. It's a strictly better cultivate, sort of, you know, because it's arcane. You'll do nothing with the arcane ever, but I guess that is a thing. Still. What do you give cultivate? You know what I mean? A high score? It's like Kadamus Reach is still going for at least $1 and it's been printed, I don't know, 1,000 times at this, literally 1,000 times. So there's a reason for that. People are still putting in their commander decks. Not the most powerful card in the world. Never was. Always been a role player, but you got to respect your role players, dude. If you want to play 2 cultivates, you got to reach for the reach. You know? I'll give Kadamus Reach a 7. Yeah, man. Pretty strong score for a generically extremely strong card. There's a reason the still sees play. Like, even at this, like, the current power level of Commander, this still sees, like, a lot of just kind of guaranteed slot play, right? So, yes, 7. Moving on to, Sharding Spinx. Sharding Spinx, everybody. Let's look at Shards of Alara. It's the exact same card. No, let's look at the, Brothers War Commander, a little retro frame here. 6 mana, 4 and 2 blue for a 4/4 Spinx with flying. Whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a 1/1 blue Thopter with flying. Awesome, dude. Awesome card. I have had so much fun with Sharding Spinx over the years. It's been in a couple of commander decks. I played the Brothers War decks like straight out of the box, so I resolved this card playing those. And it's been in like 2 different cubes over time. One, a power cube, because this card is very powerful. And another in like a simplified cube, like weirdly enough, but a cube that, you know, newer players can understand, doesn't have too many like crazy mechanics or anything. And newer players do tend to love this card, and so do veteran players for that matter. Cost a lot of mana to get on the table in the first place, but really, really has a great payoff for the artifact decks. And even though it is kind of a narrow payoff, it's a card you still kind of see a good bit. So I'm going to give this a 6.2. Which honestly, I don't know is high enough for a card with the pedigree this has. So I'll give it a 6.33. 6.33, sure. Let's move on to, Baleful-Strix. Hits keep on coming today. This is 2 mana, Dimir colors, blue and a black for a 1/1 artifact bird with flying and death touch. When it ETBs, draw a card. This thing is juiced, dude. This is a great magic card. Always has been, always will be. This has represented Dimir in like 3 different cubes that I've built over the years. And again, that simplified cube. This represents Dimir, or at least one of the 3 cards that represent Dimir in each 2-color combination. God, I love Baleful-Strix. I still find room for this in blue-black commander decks just because it's a good magic card. Blocks anything and kills it, for the most part. And ETB draw for 2 mana, you know, Elvish Visionary with flying and death touches. Just a massively good card, dude. Card is fantastic. I'm going to give it a 7.4. And I think it deserves every ounce of that. Every ounce of that, dude. Baleful-Strix so awesome. It really is. God, what a way to end the week, dude. Ancient Stirrings is a single green mana. Let's look at Rise of the Eldrazi. Single green mana for a sorcery. Look at the top 5 of your library. Reveal a colorless card from among them if you want to. Put it into your hand. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This card saw a good amount of play, too, for like some time there. Does this have like a retro frame? That retro frame looks terrible, though. If this is actually how it looks, that is not a good retro frame. But yeah, this has been a card that's seen a fair amount of play in multiple decks over time. Really, really cool, like pseudo-tutory sort of thing. You know what I mean? So, and there's been a couple of combo decks that have specifically used it as well. I believe Amulet played it for a good time. I don't know if Amulet still plays it, but I know Amulet used to play this card in Modern. So yeah, it's should tell you at least a little, like one of the best decks in Modern played this card for a while. And again, I haven't seen Amulet Titan, like the builds, like what they're supposed to look like in maybe like a year or more, something like that. I haven't looked into it, but this card used to see a good bit of play. And even in a vacuum, it's just obviously decent, you know? So I'm going to give this like a 6.1, mostly because it is kind of narrow. You have to build your deck like accordingly to play this card, but I still think that it is pretty freaking good, dude. So at least a 6.1 and probably deserves a little more than that, honestly. Tormented Soul. Oh, yeah, man. Tormented Soul is a single black mana for a 1/1 spirit that cannot block, but is also unblockable. That's the secret, is that it has shadow. This is a creature with shadow that can't even block other creatures with shadow. It's kind of neat. If anybody, shout out Shadow. If anybody remembers Shadow, it's like one of my favorite mechanics of all time. This card's neat. I've always liked this card. I'm going to give it a 4.8. It's not great, you know, it's just a 1/1 unblockable, but you'd be surprised what you can do with that if you can protect it and like throw stuff on it, you know. It's not terrible. You'll play it sometimes. So 4.8, and I kind of feel bad for not giving it a 5. I don't think I can in good conscience. Rampant growth. Rampant growth. It's 2 mana. It's 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land. Put it on the battlefield tap. Shuffle your library. So it's rampant growth. It's rampant growth. You know what that is. Let's go. Let's keep going back. Let's keep going back to Mirage, because Mirage is perhaps the best set of all time. Those are fighting words. It's one of my favorites for sure. God, what do you give rampant growth? This is in some ways, and I really am trying not to be hyperbolic. I mean every syllable of the sentence. This is in a way one of the best Magic cards of all time. It is. Wonderful piece of ramp. They haven't printed too many things aside from like Farseek, that are really close to it. That and a couple of other cards. Like Glimpse the Core just came out in this last year here, and I freaked out because it's basically rampant growth in standard. Only goes and gets a forest. But there's a reason they don't print this into standard. It's too powerful of an effect for the most part. 2 mana land ramp is just something you do not see. It's very special in standard. It's because it's powerful. The card is still played in Commander, obviously. Ramp decks play this card. And it's just, God, what do you give this? I haven't asked the audience in a couple of videos, what would you score rampant growth? I want your comments. Give me your comments. They're delicious. The algorithm likes them too. They think they're even tastier than I do. But honestly, I'm going to give this like a 7.5, Rampant growth, I think, deserves a 7.5. I really do. It's a good Magic card, dude. Megrim, let's go. Megrim is 3 mana. This is another one of my favorite cards ever. 3 mana, 2 and a black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a card, Megrim deals 2 damage to them. That's so good, bro. Like this, I had fun with this card back in the day. Mind Twist Megrim. Mind Twist Megrim. Him to Torak Megrim. My God. Megrim is... It's not one of the best. It is not one of the best of all time. I cannot tell you that. But it is one of the cards I've had the most fun, irritated the most people with, which I am honestly sorry about. You shouldn't play Magic to irritate others. You shouldn't, but God, do I have love for Megrim. I really do. You could play Megrim and the Rack in the same deck, baby. And that's when discard had its heyday. Just kitchen table discard with Hypnotic Spectre, Dark Ritual on turn 1, Megrim in the Rack as sort of your finisher effects. You got, him to Torak again. You got Mind Twist. Just God, those were the days. I love Megrim, dude. I'm going to give this card a 7. It deserves like a 6.1 or something, but deserves a 7. I would say that Megrim's even better than it's ever been because a lot of people be discarding cards to just stuff. You know what I mean? They'd be channeling cards or cycling cards, and these aren't things that were around when Megrim was originally printed, and now those things exist. So they channel a land, they cycle a card, they take 2 damage, dude. Megrim's even better now, I'm telling you. Great card, dude. Great, just absolutely bomb of a card. I'm going to give it a 7, and that's that. We'll move on to Azorius. I love Megrim. We'll move on to Azorius Locket. This is 3 mana for an artifact, tap for white or blue, or pay white blue hybrid, white blue hybrid, white blue hybrid, white blue hybrid, tap, sack, draw 2 cards. So 4 mana tap, sack, draw 2 cards. You'll still see people play this sometimes, but it's not like a signet. You know, it's not on that level. The difference between 2 and 3 mana is like magnanimous. You might as well play Chromatic Lantern or something like that in your deck. Coalition Relic. You know, there's just there's a lot of better 3-color rocks than something like this. But, you know, sometimes you'll cash it in for the cards. It's not a terrible Magic card. I'll give it a 5.9. Because, you know, rocks rock. We'll move on to Remember the Fallen. 3 mana, 2 and a white for a sorcery. Choose one or both. Return target creature card from your yard to your hand, and or return target artifact card from your yard to your hand. Ooh, so you get card advantage for 3 mana in white back in New Phyrexia. That's crazy. It's like not really a thing that was heard of back then. Some cards might actually, or some decks might actually find use for this in Commander. 3 mana is a bit much, but you know, this is good value. So I'm going to give it a 5. Just right at average. You know what I mean? It's right at average, but probably deserves more of like a 4.5. We'll say 4.5. Can we change it? 4.5 for this card. But I don't know. Remember it exists. Final card of the week. We're going to close out Sunday with Warrant and Warden. Now, Warrant over here is a split card. Warrant is 2 mana, 2 2 Azorius hybrids. For an instant, put target attacking or blocking creature on top of its owner's library. Warden is 5 mana, 3 a white and a blue for a sorcery. You make a 4/4 white and blue Sphinx creature token with flying and vigilance. This actually saw a teeny tiny amount of play when it was originally, you know, in standard, which wasn't even that long ago, really. Make the card a little larger by zooming in here. You probably want to be able to actually read it for yourselves. I always liked this though. I really did, you know, a 5 mana 4/4. Okay. Or, I mean, you get literally Sarah Angel, right? 4/4 flying vigilance for 5 mana. It's a Sarah Angel. Or you get kind of a time ebb at instant speed, just for attackers and blockers. But, you know, 2 mana for this really annoying effect is actually not bad. The removal mode on this is, Rebluval, I guess, is okay. And then if you don't have a mode for it, you get a large dude. So like in limited, this card is a masterpiece. I imagine that you just play every copy you get in limited, but it's a rare, so you'd probably just get the one. But yeah, I don't think this card's bad at all. I'm going to give it a 5.1. I don't think you should play it in Commander like tomorrow or anything, but it is removal on a body. You know, you have to choose one or the other, but I'm always going to be into that. So I'm not going to be too hard on this card. 5.1, you know. But that is the entire week. Man, we had a good last day. I feel like there's some fantastic cards there. But join us. We're going to be doing this every day for the rest of your life and mine. So join us, see what we get tomorrow. New batch of cards and all that. I hope the rest of your weekend's good. The last couple of hours of it are, you know, what you doing? You going to the lake? You going to crack out the old fishing poles this week? Maybe you should, you know. Maybe you should go bowling. When's the last time you went bowling? Do you remember? I bet you don't. Go do. You don't have to do anything. You can sit in your house and play Persona. It's probably what I'm going to do, to be honest with you. Actually, I got to work on these decks. But anyway, do whatever you want to do. I just hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Because tomorrow, we got to get back to it. Well, not me. I just do the same thing every day. I just do magic stuff every day. Weekends are meaningless when you do what I do. But still, I hope that you have a good one. Bye.